on to another big team in London, and that is Tottenham Hotspur, who just signed James Maddison, obviously, to, I think it was like £40 million deal. Where do we think he fits in that system? Obviously, we know Tottenham play, at least last season played, with kind of those two like center forwards, center attacking midfielders with Kulusevski and Son. Obviously, Kane, the head of that attack. Now you have Postecoglou, who may be switching some things around. Where do we think Maddison fits? I think it's a great signing. Where do we think he fits in terms of that in Postecoglou's?
I think we're going to see a very similar kind of system to what we see with Arteta, where you're going to see the inverted fullbacks, and you're going to see two kind of attack-minded positions with the advanced eights, and I think Maddison really fits perfectly into it. And I think he's going to be he's going to provide what Tottenham really have been lacking, creativity, and that's something really that we saw. Even though Leicester got relegated, we saw that with that he was one of the best creators, at least one of the best creative forces really in the entire league. And I think with Tottenham, they've got a couple. I really like Bentancur in that kind of 8 role where he can really be very progressive. But I think also an issue is that not an issue actually. No, sorry, not an issue. A positive is that he's also very good defensively. So I think he really fits as kind of a good balance between him and Maddison. Could be very creative in that final third, and then you're gonna see, and then defensive midfielder as a 6, maybe it's a bit more difficult. I could see Bentancur, but I think Maddison is someone who I definitely see where Postecoglou is really trying to fit him in that system.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think James Maddison is a very good fit here. I think Tottenham are going out and getting a player where if you're Maddison, obviously you know the history behind Tottenham. There isn't any. So, you're looking at James Maddison, who obviously any of the top clubs could have wanted him. If I was James Maddison, I would have chosen Newcastle just because of what they're building over there. But I understand you're still going to a huge team, huge not only in England but in the entire world. I think the fit's great. Here's the thing, and Charlie, I'll pose this to you. When you look at kind of Kulusevski and Maddison, two players where you've been talking about a lot, how Maddison, and obviously very noticeable, really good on the right-hand side for Leicester this year, very consistent. Obviously can play as an advanced 8, 10, but fades in and out as that. Where do you think he fits? Because obviously if you want, you can't start all of them. So who do you think starts for Tottenham when Maddison gets put in?
I think Maddison plays his best soccer when he's playing as the right midfielder. I think Maddison, somehow Leicester was relegated, and somehow James Maddison was still one of the best players in the entire Premier League last season. Not just for he was the standout Leicester City player.
Yeah.
He was just the best player on the field every time he played for Leicester. But he was one of the top 10 players in the Premier League last season. He was phenomenal, and that was playing on the right-hand side. Leicester had a lot of talent at the center mid position. They moved James Maddison out to the right, and he thrived. I think Maddison struggles playing as the 10 in some games, and he plays well as the 10 in some games. But I think the best we've seen from Maddison in his career was this season as the right mid. So I see Maddison displacing a newly signed Kulusevski. I think Kulusevski had a good start to the season, but like the rest of Tottenham, faded out towards the end of the season. I think James Maddison is a better player than Kulusevski, so I see, with relative ease, Maddison starting on the right-hand side over Kulusevski. Where I could see Kulusevski playing instead of Maddison is as the 10. I think Kulusevski could be moved inside, because Kulusevski, he had a good start to the season, but he only scored twice. Maddison scored 10 times. Maddison also had more assists, and this was while playing on a relegation side. James Maddison, I don't think there are maybe 2 or 3 players in the entirety of the Premier League right now who I'd start on the right-hand side over James Maddison.
Wow, that's a take. Here's the thing what I'll say to you. I feel like Tottenham don't have a defined 10 in their formation. They play generally more or less a 3-4-3, with that 3 kind of being an inverted 3. You let the 2 wide players in the 4 kind of be your up and down, outside backs who obviously track back and then also get up in the attack with Pora, who is very good at it. And on the left-hand side, you either have Perisic or Sessegnon. That's the thing. So I feel like there's no – I guess you could kind of mold those in the 3 because you kind of have – I'll kind of with my hands, it's like that, right? It's not like 2 wingers. It's more inverted, like center forwards. So I guess those are the 10s, right? And that's where you see Kulusevski and Son behind Kane. I could definitely see – I think Maddison would fit perfectly there in one of those, obviously on the right-hand side. But I wouldn't say that's an out-and-out right midfielder, right winger position. It's more of like a right forward, left forward.
I mean, I definitely see Tottenham's formation changing for the next season. They've used this 3-back with the 3 weird forwards for the last few seasons and haven't had any success with it. I think the formation will change, and I think he'll do that to suit the players. The biggest problem for Tottenham is going to be the absence of Harry Kane if he does leave.
I don't think it'll
It's
happen.
possible he leaves.
Very
I'm
hard.
also one of the people who
I think
doesn't
he should
it will
leave. I
happen.
100% think this guy should leave in a second.
I don't
think he
see
will.
Harry Kane leaving this season,
Yeah,
but
no,
if he
yeah, I
does, they'll struggle, and I think they'll, it'll be Richarlison up top, who's just not as strong.
Yeah.
But I think what we could see is potentially. I mean, I think James Maddison, if he's playing for Tottenham, will be playing as the right mid. I think if he's not playing at right mid, he might not even be in the starting 11.
No, there's no way.
Maddison will only be dropped because if he's playing in a center attacking mid role, it's kind of a role that Son has adopted in the last few seasons. He's not displacing Heung-min Son. He's not displacing Rodrigo Bentancur right now. I don't see Son playing in the center of this Tottenham team.
Here's what I'll say. I think in a 4-3-3, which is the system you're going to see, I think he'll be great in the right center mid role. I think he'll be someone who's going to be kind of in that right side, but not really. He's still in the center.
I still see Maddison as a central midfielder.
No, I think I see him as I keep saying this word, advanced state. I see him in that position where he's going to be one of the best players in the final third. I think, at least in terms of creating, and I think that's something really where something Tottenham have needed from the midfield. And I think you're going to see that. I think Kulusevski, someone where they're going to have their wingers as actual more wide, further wider. I think it's going to be something that really suits the attack a lot better. Suits someone like Kulusevski better, who's one of the best really good at kind of also whipping in crosses from the edge of the box. Then you could see Son maybe, if he does play, or maybe Richarlison come in a bit more close to goal. So I think they'll be. I still like what they're. I still like Maddison in the midfield role, kind of as a right center man. I think that's where we'll see him.
I think it's fair. I think with Harry Kane as the striker and with Heung-min Son playing as the second striker / left midfielder,
Exactly.
I think that the talent. There's no loss of talent on the wings for this Tottenham squad.
Yeah.
They've got Kane up top. They've got Son, Kulusevski, and Richarlison, and Lucas Moura as wingers, but Moura's leaving.
Yeah.
There's no absence of talent on the wings for Tottenham. However, I think that James Maddison is at his most creative when he's playing on the wing, and I don't think that creativity for Tottenham is going to come from the central area of the field because that's where Kane plays. Kane is one of the best strikers in the world, but he's not just a striker.
Yeah. He's
Harry
the
Kane,
best distributing.
Harry
striker
Kane
in
is
the
the
world.
best passing range and passing vision of any striker we've potentially ever seen play.
I think he's the most complete.
The most complete striker in the world right now.
Yeah.
And I think that Maddison playing as a 10 will almost disrupt that. The way that Tottenham play right now, they play with 2 6s and no attacking midfielders.
Yeah, that's what you guys keep saying. Wingers. They don't
They
play.
don't
It's not like wingers. It's outside backs and forwards.
But they
that
don't
support
play
Kane, not
attacking
directly behind
midfielders.
That's why it's going to change. I feel like it'll be.
And I
definitely
think it
an
will
adjustment.
change, but Harry Kane plays that attacking mid. And while you're saying it's more Kane up top with Kulusevski and Son behind him, I almost
inverted.
think it's the opposite with Kane behind Kulusevski.
Yeah, that's actually,
and Son.
I agree.
So Kane creates from there. That's where Maddison would create from if he was playing as a cam. I think that playing Maddison as a cam detracts from the best player on this team.
Yeah.
I think he'll be okay because I think you're gonna see. Again, I hate to keep bringing it back to Arteta and Arsenal. You see someone like Jesus who really kind of does that same thing he does.
It's different.
He drops very.
He
deep.
drops, but
There's
he
no one
drops,
like
receives
Kane.
the ball, and dribbles. Kane drops, receives the ball, and passes.
No, but I think you'll see Jesus dribble too. But I think.
Well, that's what.
Pass. Sorry. I don't know why.
It's not the same.
But I think the point is you still see Odegaard, someone who isn't really exactly looking for someone like Jesus isn't exactly a target man, and I think he's still occupying maybe sometimes they're in close proximity. I think still put Maddison in the midfield even with Kane, and maybe Kane does have to have a tactical adjustment. Maybe he does have to go and be more of a target man as a number 9. But Harry Kane is also one of the best in the world at that. We saw that last year with the amount of goals he got. I think.
Yeah, I don't think Kane would have a problem adjusting, but I feel like he's a guy who's been really, I guess, Son also your only bright spot in this team
But
the past
I think
5
also
years.
when you saw Kane dropping a bit, obviously having to really carry the attack, not only scoring wise but creativity wise. I think that was something that really showed why Tottenham were so poor this year. I think adding another force like Maddison, who could be more creative, and then having Kulusevski more healthy, I think it's going to be something that really, I think it's going to make Tottenham a lot better. At least maybe it might not show on the table because they're going through a rebuild, but it's definitely for the best.
But again, once again, and as I've said, last season there was no on the team sheet. No, there was no 10. There was not a 10 on the field.
No, that's where Maddison,
exactly.
I think, will play. He's still one of the best 10s in the league.
So then you're
I
going
don't
to
think
switch
he
to like a
is.
3-5-2 with two holders, a 10.
I think the problem for this Tottenham team is not forcing Harry Kane to adjust. Harry Kane somehow quietly had his best season ever in the Premier League. Harry Kane scored 30 goals last year playing as an attacking midfielder.
30 goals before, though, also.
He scored 30 goals one time before in his career. Harry Kane scored 30 goals this year. Why would you adjust that?
Yeah.
Why would you
Because
change the way he's playing if he scored 30 goals? Change the stuff around him, not him.
Here's the thing. I think that was all because he was the only outlet for the team. We saw Son have a disappointing year. Kulusevski was out injured at times. Again, no other creative forces. He was the only. He, like you said, he was the only source for this team. And now when you're adding other players who can kind of feed him and make him kind of, who could still play. Obviously, it's really good that he's such a complete forward, but he's now someone who can have, who has a little bit of the burden released off of him, and you have more creative, more maybe hopefully Son maybe has a better year, maybe Richarlison has a better year. You have Kulusevski, you have now Maddison. I think it's something where if Kane adjusts, maybe he won't put up the same numbers, but the team will put up better numbers. There'll be more of a team than we saw last year, where it was just Harry Kane kind of dragging a mid-table team.
I mean, it's true. We want to adjust other things. I mean, Harry Kane, his personal numbers will probably decrease this season if there is more attacking threat around him.
Not even that, just to replicate that is.
But I think that James Maddison will be able to serve Harry Kane the best when playing wide. Because Harry Kane dominates the midfield. He picks up the ball super deep, deeper than any striker we ever see, and distributes. And I think if Kane is picking the ball up at midfield, making a pass wide to Maddison or making a pass wide to a running Pedro Porro, who then returns the ball to him when he gets into the box, that's the way Tottenham will play the best. But I feel like playing Maddison in the midfield will just crowd the midfield. Son runs into the midfield often enough. Kane is in the midfield on every single possession. They've already got two midfielders in there. You don't want to crowd the midfield because then it doesn't give you enough options otherwise. And I think leaving Kane as a 9 and solely as a 9, just playing as the poacher, isn't getting the most out of Harry Kane. And it's by process of not getting the most out of Kane, you're not getting the most out of the team.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Charlie here. I think when you look at the personnel of this team and what they, obviously, as I said, Harry Kane has been one of the only bright spots of this team the past several years. I think it's not that I don't think Maddison can be successful as a 10 serving Harry Kane from the midfield, but I think when you have Kane staying in that role of dropping in, obviously we talked about best distributing strike in the world, probably only next to Lewandowski maybe, and even then, people don't really come close. Mm-hmm. I think having Maddison on the wing, incredibly good service of the ball, and not even on the wing. Like I know we're saying on the wing. The wings on Tottenham are Porro and Perisic, or if they go and get another left back.
I don't see Perisic starting next year. Though.
Whoever, that's not the point. Just whoever's on that left side. I mean, servicing Maddison, who's kind of inverted, but next to him in that, obviously he'll go on to the wing, but those forward positions where I think Maddison could thrive as being a guy who serves in that final third pass. He can still check into the midfield, but letting Kane keep that dominance of being able to, obviously what strikers are so good at is being able to lose a defender, check out, check in, get the ball, service it, So I think leaving Harry Kane to what he has been good at is your best bet is Tottenham. I don't think there's a single player you could sign that would be able to disrupt that. I think Harry Kane is very good at that.